information mobile app 안전디딤돌.
Thank you for all the great information. Remember, your safety is everyone's safety. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고. 힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Yesterday, we had that breaking news about the U.S. tariffs here on our program, Morning Wave in Busan. But that's not the only news to emerge stateside. South Korea and the U.S. also reaffirmed their resolute commitment to the complete denuclearization of the peninsula during talks between Foreign Minister Cho Hyun and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio a short while ago. So with the announcement of the tariff deal, the two sides confirmed an upcoming summit between the president of South Korea and the U.S. That's coming up soon. So the prep work for that upcoming summit will have to kick into high gear now. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, the 1st of August on BEFM 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well on this Friday, which also happens to be the very first day of August. So, obviously, the top story, Trump's tariffs. And so 15%, that is the overall scheme as per the agreement reached yesterday. There are a lot of details behind this figure, though, and even more analyses on how to look at this number, which we'll get to across the program today. But this one thing is for certain. The period of uncertainties is over. That waiting game, right, for the past few months have weighed heavily on the country's economy. And this is evidenced by the latest economic figures for the month of June. And a bit of good news, we are seeing a turnaround in production across all industries. Definitely good news. The first positive growth in 3 months. This was aided by the automobile and semiconductor industries. Production in the service industry, which is an indicator of consumption, also went up slightly by 0.5%. For retail, there were upticks in clothing and cosmetics. And the outlook was positive as well, with a 0.2% uptick in the leading economic index. Again, this is for the month of June when we were still on, that roller coaster of tariff uncertainties in the middle of the extended negotiations period. Whether it be for better or for worse, that Band-Aid has been ripped off on the whole tariff deal. So now we can hopefully move forward from this new month of August. What do you say? And like I said, it happens to fall on a Friday. So what a great way to begin. Now it's time for a text topic. Are you ready? Whether it's smoking, drinking, or maybe even a toxic relationship, what is something that you have quit or hope to quit? 자, 금연, 금주, 당, 탄수화물, 손절, 내가 끊어본 것은 끊고 싶은 것. Whether it's happened or something you're looking forward to quitting, what is it? Let us know. Send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find our channel, and you can join. I think we have like 152,000 subscribers by now. And then you can log in and chat with our other waivers from your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can also reach me for free on Kakao Talk. You can send in your messages through Kakao Talk, photos as well. And the ways you can tune into Morning Wave in Busan, 90.5 or 103.3 FM on the radio. That's if you're in Busan. Like I said, we're streaming live right now. You can watch again at your leisure. And we're available on the BEFM app and also the Papang app. Looking ahead to our busy morning. Here we go. First up, hour number 1, Foreign Press Highlights. That's with Casey. In hour number 2, we have Professor Andrew, 안교수님, Andrew Millard with Global Affairs. We have 2 special interviews planned for you today. First up, we're going to talk about the tariffs with our economic expert, really understanding what's behind this 15% tariff deal. And then for a second interview, we're going to talk about the World Court issuing this landmark climate change advisory. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the International Court of Justice issuing this landmark advisory opinion outlining the legal obligations of states, countries, to protect the climate system. So that's coming up. Those 2 interviews in hour number 2. I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:05 and this is news overview. Special counsel to carry out Yoon Suk-yeol's detention warrant today. The special counsel led by Min Jung-gi will attempt to execute the detention warrant for jailed former President Yoon Suk-yeol today to bring him in for questioning by force, as Yoon's side claims poor health conditions. Court issues arrest warrant for Lee Sang-min. The Seoul Central District Court issued a warrant to arrest former Interior Minister Lee Sang-min early this morning, who faces allegations of having concluded in former President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration. Lee Jae-myung government to push for tax reform to undo previous administration's tax cuts. The Lee Jae-myung administration yesterday announced its first tax reform plan aimed at increasing government revenue, which would effectively undo the tax cuts for corporations and capital gains implemented under the previous Yoon administration. Top South Korea and U.S. diplomats meet for first time. South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Hyun met with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, D.C., where they reaffirmed the complete denuclearization of North Korea and trilateral cooperation among Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo. White House says new reciprocal tariffs go into effect August 1st. Countries are trying to reach trade deals with the U.S. as the August 1st deadline looms near. The White House confirmed that the new reciprocal tariffs will go into effect on the same day local time. And this was News Overview. It's time for Now in Busan. We have Sojin in the studio. Let's say hi first. Hi, happy Friday.
Hi, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing much better. Thank you for asking. Let's get into our text topic. What have you quit or are you hoping to quit?
Now I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do
Any of that?
things, yeah. But if I have one thing, stopping relationship.
Oh, Oh, like getting rid of a toxic relationship?
Toxic relationship, maybe current relationship.
Okay.
Damn.
So that's so. I want to ask, but it's like so personal. So we'll just leave it at that. So Sejin is maybe thinking of getting rid of a toxic relationship. All right, let's get into our first update. What's the latest?
The limousine bus service to Kimhae Airport has resumed from the 31st, so yesterday, after being suspended last year.
Yes.
And it now extends all the way to Gijang County.
Right. I remember you were telling us about this. So this is great for folks living in Gijang. Where exactly does it go?
Gijang officials said one of the two airport limousine routes now stops at O시리아 tourism complex. Of the two routes, airport limousine 1 and 2 is the limousine 1 route that goes through Gijang.
So tell us about like the stops on the route.
So it starts from 반얀3 해운대 Busan in Gijang-읍, stops at Dongam Back Gate, Changsan Station, Haeundae Beach, and heads to Kimhae Airport via the Gwangan Bridge.
And what time does it start, the bus routes?
The first bus from Gijang leaves at 4:50 in the morning, and the fare is 9,500 won for adult.
Yes, and let's remind our listeners, why did the service stop in the first place?
Well, the previous operator pulled out last year due to accumulated losses, but Busan City brought in new operator, and now it's back on track from yesterday.
Yes. So this is really great for everybody, but especially, tourists and, of course, residents of Gijang as well. All right, next, I hear you have some news for parents with little kids.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we reported that it was being planned, but now it's happening now. So starting next year, all kids aged 3 to 5 attending private kindergartens in Busan will get free education.
Wow, so private kindergarten. So this is kind of a first, is it not?
Yeah, the national government was only talking about 5 years old. But the Busan Education Office said, why not all of them? So now it's 3, 4, and 5 years old, all covered.
I see. So basically, for the whole early childhood education, that whole bracket.
Yeah. And get this, it was actually a campaign promise by Superintendent Kim Seok-jun. They've already sorted out all the consultations to include this in social welfare system.
I see. So how many children are we talking about?
About 23,000 little ones in private kindergartens. And the city is setting aside over 31.5 billion won in next year's budget to cover all of them.
And that's pretty impressive. So what's the bigger goal behind all of this?
It's all about making early education more public, more fair, and way less stressful for parents. As a superintendent put it, they want every child to get a fair start right from the beginning.
I see. So I'm sure many parents are welcoming this. All right, and next, what's going on at Busan's beaches? Can you tell us?
Yes, Mayor Park Hyung-jun was out and about. He paid a visit to Taejongdae and Songdo Beach to check things firsthand during the peak of tourist season.
Yes. So I know that there's been an effort by the government, the local government, to make sure people aren't, for example, getting ripped off. So what exactly did Busan Mayor look into?
At Songdo Beach, they held a safety pledge event that by declaring zero tolerance for water accident this summer. And they spotted checks to stop overcharging tourists.
Yes. So anything in terms of like being eco-friendly, because I think I saw a photo of like an electric train.
Well, he actually walked around the site himself, looking at things from a tourist point of view.
Okay.
And yes, he even got an electric Danubi train, which they use it to get around the park.
Anything else?
Right, he also went over to the Songdo Marine cable car to check its safety features and how comfortable it is for passengers.
Okay.
Last but not least, he made sure that there were no rip-off prices and that beach safety was in place.
So this is, of course, important. Comfort and safety for Busan residents and tourists as well. All right, let's move on. I hear that something is changing near Busan Station.
Yes, the arch-shaped Texas Street sign across Busan Station is being taken down next month after years of complaints that it kind of ruins the city's landscape.
At the same time, it's kind of iconic. I know many people have probably seen that sign, right? So what's the reason behind this?
So the city has been working on a project called Decluttering the City. This initiative aims to improve urban aesthetic and restore pedestrian rights.
Yes. And so once again, this is about decluttering the city, right?
Yes, it was installed in 2017 to try and revitalize the local economy. But the name Texas Street has some baggage. Back in the 1950s, that area was packed with clubs and bars of foreign sailors or American soldiers.
I see. So they want to move away from that. Is this area still active in that way?
There are still a few clubs and guest houses aimed at foreign tourists, but it's nothing like what it used to be, much quieter now.
So the question is this, why now? The timing of this, why did they decide to remove this now?
Well, recently they held a town hall meeting. There were some objections, but the consensus leaned toward taking the sign down.
So are they going to give the area like a new name or moniker?
Yeah, they are even thinking about opening up a naming contest to the public. So who knows, we might see a whole rebrand soon.
Oh, and so if they're opening it up to the public, maybe you out there, the waivers, you can come up with a great idea, fresh start. So thank you for giving us information on that. And now there is something new that is coming into effect. So something about emergency equipment, right?
Yes, starting next month, August 17 to be exact, Busan is reinforcing its rule on automated external defibrillators or AEDs.
So actually it's this month now because it's August, right? August 17th. So we're talking about automated external defibrillators, so AEDs, the ones that are used for when you see maybe in a drama or on TV, like heart emergencies, right? Cardiac arrest.
Right, from this month, to be exact, if a place is legally required to have an AED and doesn't, they will get hit with a 1 million fine. That's a double what it used to be.
Wow, so 1 million won, that's pretty high. What about reporting and signage, things like that?
Failing to report installation or changes, it will now cost you 500,000 won. And if you don't report your monthly AED inspection result to the local health center, that's another 500,000 won. No signage, there will be 300,000.
Wow, so this is pretty major. They're making some major changes on this. So in an emergency, that device, though, that AED, it could save someone's life, right?
Yeah, so the city is saying if you're running a business or facility that's supposed to have one, you better keep it in working order or pay the price.
Yes. So that's actually a wrap for all the local news today. And of course, I wish you a wonderful weekend. We'll check in with you on Monday.
You too. See you Monday.
Okay, everybody, this was Sejin, and I'll be back with your traffic and weather. It's now 7:16, and this is your traffic report. There was an accident on the Dongso overpass going away from the city right before the Jinyang ramp. It's been moved over to the shoulder, but there's still backup because of this. And Gwanmun-dero is congested from Pangnam Tunnel to Baekyang Tunnel. Generally speaking, the roads are pretty clear because, of course, this is peak vacation season, which means a lot of people are away. And the weather report, it's currently 26 degrees and sunny. It's going to go up to 32 today, similar to yesterday. A heat wave impact forecast, 폭염 영향 예보, and a heat wave special report, 폭염 특보, are in effect. The heat wave is raising temperatures in some areas to 37 degrees, and tropical nights are persisting. Looking at the weather for the weekend, another hot day tomorrow with an expected high of 34 degrees and on Sunday, 33 degrees. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio. Let's say good morning first. Hi.
Good morning.
Can't believe it's August 1st, but here we are.
I can't wait to sleep.
Yes. Well, we're going to get into our first story because we need details of that trade deal between South Korea and the U.S.
Right. So to give you a little bit of a rundown from what happened yesterday, a 15% tariff on all Korean goods exported to the United States as reciprocal tariffs, 항호 관세. Automobile tariffs have been also lowered to 15%, and this is according to the presidential policy senior secretary Kim Yong-bum via a press briefing yesterday. And Kim said that South Korea actually tried to lower the tariff, the automobile tariff, to 12.5%, this being one of the key exports to the United States.
Yes.
And this effort went on until the very end, but basically U.S. and President Donald Trump, they really stuck to that 15%. And we got some details about the talks, and we'll get to that in a bit.
Yes.
But in any case, steel, copper, and aluminum tariffs will remain the same, but Korea will not be treated, quote, any worse than any other country in terms of the upcoming envisioned tariffs on semiconductors and pharmaceuticals. Those are to come in the near future. And then also in return, South Korea will form a $350 billion investment fund, $150 billion of which will go to the shipbuilding industry.
Yes.
Finance Minister Koo Yoon-chul, who headed the trade talks, he actually created MASCA, right? Make American shipping great again. That was kind of the major deal that South Korea brought to the discussion table.
Yes.
As the biggest contributor in getting to that kind of the magic number of 15%. So in terms of that investment fund, the remaining $200 billion out of $350, the money will go to semiconductors, nuclear reactors, secondary batteries, and bio. So all of these areas are areas in which South Korea does have a competitive edge, and there are apparently possibilities of Korean firms participating in these investments as strategic partners.
Yes.
So the government is kind of honing in the fact that this could be mutually beneficial. As for the actual form the funds will take, keep in mind that the $350 billion will not be in direct cash investments.
Okay.
The government said that most of the money will go in as loans and guarantees with very low proportion on direct investments.
Oh, okay. So now we have a better picture, a clearer picture. Well, officials also released details about some of the behind-the-scenes moments.
Right. So we are getting kind of the BTS, the behind-the-scenes moments from Policy Senior Secretary Kim Yong-bum. He said that he, of course, wasn't in the U.S. or Scotland. He wasn't at the scene, but he was briefed that there was even shouting. Things got heated between the two sides, especially when it came to beef and rice. Again, the red line that Korea had set down. So Kim stated that President Trump's comments, because President Trump said on Truth Social that South Korea will open its agricultural market, basically kind of fact-checking it as false. Well, Kim said he's aware of this as more of a statement by a political leader, as the actual working level officials never reached an agreement on that. Right. So top trade negotiator Yo Han-gu also told reporters who were getting bits and pieces from here and there that negotiations really truly began in earnest after Japan struck an agreement on July 22nd. So we are kind of looking at less than 10 days of full-out negotiations. And apparently a turnaround came, not for the better, because when Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick visited Scotland all of a sudden, then a Korean negotiation team really contemplated on what to do, as they were quite taken aback. They made a judgment to basically buy the plane tickets right then and there and fly to Scotland. And apparently that was a good move on their part, because things really started moving in Scotland. And also in terms of how prepared they were, the Korean team apparently even brought pictures from years ago on South Korea's protest against the whole mad cow disease controversy, to kind of show the U.S. side how much of a not only political but a culturally sensitive topic beef and cattle age is to South Korea.
Right.
And this apparently helped the U.S. Counterparts understand the situation. The team also credited Secretary Lutnick in their rehearsals even for the meeting with President Trump. And apparently Secretary Lutnick advised the team to basically not make things too complicated, kind of make it simple and easy, digestible to understand. And also President Trump told the team during the meeting that he only negotiates directly with presidents or prime ministers, but for South Korea's case, he's obviously talking to more bureaucrats, and he said this shows how much he respects the country.
I see. Very interesting, all the little details that are trickling out. Thanks for sharing. For now, we're going to move on to another topic. So we're going to talk about the median income for 2026?
Right, for next
Yes.
year, right?
Okay.
So this is called 중위소득 or 기준중위소득, the standard median income. So let me give you the numbers first. Next year's standard median income for a 4-person household. So if you make this, you are smack in the middle of South Korea's income levels.
Okay.
6,494,738 won. So so let's just leave it there. So this is up by 6.51% compared to this year's. That marks the highest rate of increase yet.
Okay.
So let me give you the rundown of the different household versus what the median income is, and I'll get to explaining why we care, why this is important. So for a single person household, if you make 2.56 million won per month, you are right in the middle, 256만 won.
Okay.
For a 2-person household, that is 4.19 million won. 3-person household, 5.35 million won. 4-person household, again, 6.49 million. Larger households, 5-person household, 7.55 million. And 6-person household, 8.55 million won.
Yes.
Right. So why? Well, this was determined by the Median Life Guarantee Committee that held its meeting yesterday. It's a government committee under the Health Ministry to assess and determine key welfare policy. And that's key. Welfare.
Yes.
This median income is an important figure because it is used as a standard for basic welfare and emergency welfare projects across 74 different projects, about a dozen government departments. So whenever we're talking about even the recovery coupons coming out that have gone out, will go out, we
Yes.
talk about, and then student loans and stuff, we talk about 70% of the medium income line. Well, that's that line that's been set for next year. So how is this determined? Well, this is, of course, a cold, hard number given
Right.
by Statistics Korea. Every year, the median figure, 중간값, but you also factor in other issues like the recent household income, the rate of increase, whether, they have seen raises in their income, and income level differences based on the size of a household. So basically, they give a more detailed picture of the median income per household, whether that be single, 1-person, 2-person, and so on. So what does it mean that we have a higher median income by 6.5%? Well, that puts more people in the near poverty or under poverty line, which may not seem good, but that also means that more people, specifically 40,000 people, now newly qualify for welfare benefits.
I see. So hence why having that median income set, is important for everybody. All right, this next story goes hand in hand with our text topic, smoking, or actually more specifically, vaping.
Right, because vaping, e-cigarettes, 전자담배, right? They have been a hot button topic. Culturally, politically, health-wise,
Yes.
is it better than smoking? Is it just as bad? Also, just as bad as meaning some people do think it's okay to smoke those indoors, and people have different opinions about
Yes.
that. Neither of us are smokers, I believe. Anyways, so the whole point is legally, we're going to look at that aspect now. Should e-cigarettes or vapes be counted as the same as real cigarettes, the ones that you light up, 관련형 담배? From now on, it seems, yes, they may be. Because they're going to be counted, they are likely to be counted the same way and therefore be regulated the same way that cigarettes are. This is according to the new health minister, Minister Jung Eun-young. So this is via her written response that she submitted to the parliament following her confirmation hearing on a series of questions they wanted to follow up on.
Yes.
So one of the issues was on how she, as the new head of the health ministry, would regulate synthetic nicotine-based e-cigarettes. So that's in Korean, 합성 니코틴 액상형 전자담배, because I believe there's 액상형 liquid-based and 관련형. It's more, I think that's when you steam it. Anyways, so Jung said these e-cigarettes are harmful to your health just as they are as regular cigarettes and therefore be regulated in the same way.
Yes. But the thing is that the point is how we define like cigarettes in a legal way, though.
Because definition matters when it comes to the law. So
Right.
under the current Tobacco Business Act, a cigarette comes from a tobacco plant, right? The 담배, the 식물 tobacco, leaf tobacco, and manufactured tobacco. So under the law, cigarettes must be managed under in their manufacturing, distribution, and even the sale sales process with permission from the government.
Okay.
It also must have warnings, those kind of grisly pictures on the front. That is by law. You need to have photos and has ad restrictions.
Yes.
You cannot advertise cigarettes. So under these definitions, though, synthetic nicotine-based e-cigarettes, they actually don't come from tobacco plants,
right?
That synthetic part. So they are in that blind area. They may be, they are. There are advertisements. There are no pictures, no warning labels. Some do have them. So yeah, that's a really gray area.
Yes. And these so-called e-cigarettes, they are lowering the anterior barrier for smoking for young people.
And that's key, right? So because of the smell, they don't smell like cigarettes. Some, they do have that fruity smell.
Yes.
So according to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, the KDCA, and their health panel survey for teenagers between 2019 to last year, this was conducted between 6th graders and high school second years. The older the student was, the more likely they were to have smoked. And this rate of increase is significant. So we're talking about boys between when they were in first year of high school to second year of high school, 고1 to 고2. Cigarette usage rates goes up from 2.12% for regular cigarettes to 5.5%. So it more than doubles. Right. And then for vaping, 1.19% to 3.57%. And for liquid type e-cigarettes, that's for liquid type e-cigarettes. So definitely a significant increase. And for girls, these liquid type e-cigarettes rates exceeded regular cigarettes for the first time. So it seems especially for the older teen female students, e-cigarettes are really lowering that barrier to entry. And we want that barrier high.
Oh,
ironclad,
absolutely.
just barbed wires and everything.
Yes, to make it really difficult. Yes. All right, for our final story, we're going to go back to the U.S. specifically. The growing friction between U.S. President Donald Trump and the Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
Right. So we reported on this yesterday briefly. The Federal Reserve decided to hold the benchmark rate steady.
Yes.
And we know one person who's not happy about this is President Donald Trump because he had been for weeks pressuring the Federal Reserve to lower the interest rate. Of course, keep that in mind. He's not the first president, nor will he be last to pressure economic decisions. And presidents not always, but presidents mostly want the interest rate lower for a better short-term economy for their legacy. But he is really the only one, or at least one of the only ones to do this so publicly. And some experts say even in a, quote, bullying manner. So this led to that viral moment from last week, a rare visit by any U.S. president to the Federal Reserve's headquarters in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
For background, Trump has been taking issue with the Federal Reserve's office renovations, and we'll get to why that's the issue in a bit. But he's called them excessive and expensive. So during the tour, they're both in hard hats in front of cameras, Powell and Trump. Trump waves a document, and he says this has basically proof that there are major cost overruns, that the Fed is spending too much money. Powell basically shakes his head, makes a face, and says, no, that's not true. In a very public disagreement, he takes the piece of paper, and the face that he makes is now a meme. Right. So it's everywhere. So he firmly pushes back against the claim. And then, it's really important to remember that Powell is actually his Fed chair because he appointed Powell during Trump term number 1. Back then, he called Powell strong, committed, and smart.
Okay.
But now that tone's definitely changed. President Trump said that his predecessor, President Joe Biden, had, quote, put him in and extended him. Biden did extend his term, but putting him in was Trump. He even floated the idea of firing Powell, and Powell's term expires next May.
Oh, so the question is, can he?
He can in this one case if there's cause. Right. Neglect of duty or inefficiency, not for policy differences. So some pundits have kind of pointed their finger at that particular issue with office renovations, how that might kind of be a brewing issue of Trump maybe accusing him of inefficiency or neglect of duty, spending too much money on basically their own offices.
I see. Well, very interesting. A lot of things going on. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number 2. So thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
Well, we are due for our song break for this Friday morning. So here is Sweet Dreams by J-Hope.
Sweet just wanna love it like, love it like, love it like that. Yeah. Love it like, love it like, love it like that. Yeah. Love me right, love me right, love me right back. Yeah. Love me right, love me right, love me right back. You should never sleep alone, 'cause I'll always take you home. When there's nothing left but diamond necklace on you, girl. Any night, anytime, you are my appetite. Double vision Gemini, and it goes like this. Take you home, take it slow, till you bite your lip. Got a movie in my mind, and it goes like this. Close curtains, open eyes. Lay down your skin on mine. Leave all the rest to me. Girl, sweet dreams come after hours. That's what they do. Nothing that's not allowed. You should never sleep alone. 'Cause I'll always take you home. Yeah, right. When there's nothing left but diamond necklace on you, girl. I just wanna love it like, love it like, love it like that. Yeah. Love it like, love it like, love it like that. Yeah. Love me right, love me right, love me right back. Yeah. Love me right, love me right, love me right back. You should never sleep alone, 'cause I'll always take you home. When there's nothing left but diamond necklace on you, girl. You the only cover that I need when I'm cold. You get in my body with my heart and my soul. You light up my life like a diamond. Shining, shining, shining. Yeah. And we might never get to sleep tonight. I give you everything you need tonight. This kind of love I guarantee for life. Dreams gonna be sweet tonight. Sweet dreams come after hours. Nothing that's not allowed. You should never sleep alone. You should let me take you home. Right. Till there's nothing left but diamond necklace on you, girl. I just wanna love it like, love it like, love it like that. Yeah. Love it like, love it like, love it like that. Yeah. Love me right, love me right, love me right back. Yeah. Love me right, love me right, love me right back. You should never sleep alone, 'cause I'll always take you home. When there's nothing left but diamond necklace on you, girl.
It is now time for Foreign Press Highlights. We have Casey here. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
How are you?
I'm doing good. It's Friday. Made it through the week.
Yeah. First day of August as well. Can you
Oh,
believe?
is that right? Happy August.
I know.
When did that
well
happen?
into the second half
Overnight?
of the year.
That happened overnight?
Apparently.
Why was I not notified of this?
Yes. So before we get into Foreign Press Highlights, I do want to ask you about our text topic, whether it's something like smoking or drinking or like, all the vices or
Right.
maybe even a toxic
Gambling?
relationship.
Okay. Oh boy.
So what is something that you have quit or want to quit?
Currently want to quit or in the
Or it could
past?
be like, junk food.
Oh, you know what? I have soda is out of my life.
You cut
that's-
out soda.
Yeah, but that was a
Completely?
long time ago. Juice. I don't even drink juice anymore.
Oh,
yeah.
what do you drink?
Water.
Just water.
Water or tea or I'm the most
Super healthy.
don't come to my house. It's so boring. Like I kind of feel embarrassed when I invite people over. I'm like I better stock the fridge with something
Something.
because there's like nothing in there.
Just water.
Or milk, I guess.
Oh.
I don't
That
drink
is so
anything.
vanilla.
Yes.
So
Yeah, certainly. That was
Yes.
it's been a while, but so like if I occasionally I'll be at like a restaurant with friends or something and somebody will be like, "You want cola?" Like it's the standard
Yeah.
and I'm like sometimes I get like I don't want to make them feel bad for saying no, so like I'll like take a sip out of it and I'm like, "Oh, this is gross."
Oh, really?
It's so sweet. It's
how long
ridiculous.
has it been?
Years. That's just like years.
So you're like in Korea they call it Ronaldo, Cristiano. He's famous for he never drinks soda.
He's a soccer player, I believe. Is that right?
That one. And then like he famously I guess there was like a sponsor soda. He like threw the bottle.
Okay, I recall that. I'm not that extreme. Like when friends order it, I'm like, I'll let it sit on the table with me. I don't throw it, but I want to. I want to throw because it's. Man, I used to drink. From the U.S. That
Yes.
stuff was like hard to avoid.
Oh yeah.
Growing up. Like,
Right.
yeah. And the powder with the sugar, like that was like a staple when I grew up.
That was good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our producer points out she's surprised that nobody is saying their job. Like they want to quit their job.
All right, I'll leave. I'll see you. All right, I'm out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that is funny though.
No.
Yeah, good point.
I went with the past, not the future. Oh, come on. Who doesn't want to quit like everything, right?
Yes.
I mean, come on. Like even on days where you're like, I'm enjoying myself.
Yes.
Yes. Quitting.
All right. Well, we're going to jump into our first story about something Korean from the context, the viewpoint of an international outlet. So what is it?
Yeah, actually, this is kind of interesting because it is Korean. It's a product of Korea.
Yes.
But my question is, I'll talk about, we've actually talked about this group, I think a while back, like maybe a year ago, but they just recently made their official debut. And they're technically a K-pop group, but they even decided to debut themselves in the U.S. rather than Korea. So are they really still K-pop is my question.
I don't know. There's a lot of those like question marks these days.
Right? And the reason is, one of the reasons is this K-pop group is a bit different. All 5 members of Universe, it's spelled one verse, but in all of the articles I've read, they're quick to point that out. It's Universe.
Okay.
As I read it. I didn't know that. So they're all of Asian descent, but they're actually from all over the place.
Okay.
So, for example, Nathan is from Arkansas.
Oh.
Kenny. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's not Korean descent at all. He's I can't remember, but he's from Asian descent, but
Sure.
he's an American. Kenny, also another American from LA. They've got Aito from Japan, but there are 2 members who are getting, sorry guys, all of the attention,
Why?
especially in the international news media, because they're both from North Korea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're named Hyuk and Suk. So Hyuk is a rapper, Suk is the singer. And the CNN story about this, the headline is, can 2 North Korean defectors take a new K-pop boy band to global superstardom is the question.
Wow, that is a good question, though.
Yeah, it's a very pointed question.
So, why are they getting all the attention? Obviously, because they're from North Korea. Is that why?
And that might be the obvious
Yes.
answer. And it seems like basically all of the international media I've read is fascinated with their backstory. And, they're surprised at their own story as well. According to the singer Suk, he said, I never thought I'd be doing music in South Korea. I liked music when I was in North Korea. He says he used to write down lyrics of songs that he liked, usually about mothers, about longing. I'm thinking, like, what kind of music was he listening to?
I don't know.
Right?
Right.
That's none of the lyrics that come to mind of the songs I know. But he says he kept those notes and he still even looks at them sometimes. Hyuk said actually the opposite. He said, back in North Korea, I didn't even have time to listen to music, and I wasn't in an environment that allowed it either.
Ooh, so did they explain why he didn't have time to listen to music?
Yeah, so I looked at a couple of articles. So there's little bits and pieces from some of that. So from Reuters, the headline again, like it's right in the headline, North Korean defectors make debut in new K-pop boy band. In this article, he said he's originally from, well, he didn't say, but they said he's originally from the northeastern county of Gyeongsang in North Korea. So I looked it up. It's on the East Coast. It's isolated. And he said he started working at the age of 9. Sometimes he was forced into desperate measures to get food. He would eat spoiled rice or worse. He also resorted to theft. And he said, after I was caught stealing, I was beaten hard until I was bleeding. He said he was really hungry, and instinctively he was just thinking about survival. In the Associated Press article, he says he spent 8 to 10 hours daily collecting firewood as a child just to survive.
Wow.
He said where he lived, we had to collect firewood just to cook rice and survive day by day. That was essential. Since I lived struggling every day, I didn't even think I had time to listen to music. I didn't have that luxury. So
Yeah.
a big change for him.
Definitely. Now that you describe what type of lifestyle he led, I can understand why he felt like, he didn't have time to listen to music.
Yeah, this wasn't even an option.
Yes, yes. So, what kind of music was Suk able to listen to?
So yeah, Suk, on the other hand, he actually was listening to K-pop in North Korea. He said he occasionally listens to, I'm going to do my best, FX's La Chata and Super Junior songs, despite it being illegal there. And he said he probably heard K-pop back in elementary school, but he couldn't listen to it often because it was illegal. But also, I think location is key. He actually lived in a border town near China.
Okay.
So it was possible that people could smuggle things more easily.
Sure.
He was exposed to K-pop by a friend who shared music videos on a portable music player, including Psy's 2012 smash Gangnam Style. But also for him, like music wasn't his first idea. It wasn't his first dream. He started playing soccer at 8 when he was living in North Korea. So he defected to South Korea in 2019, briefly played for a semi-professional team, and then he was pursuing physical education studies. And then during some weekend soccer games, somebody just was like, hey, you want to be an idol? It's like, what? What?
Talk about like 길거리 casting, as I call it, right? Casting like just
on
out
the
of
street.
nowhere, on the
Yeah,
street,
right.
right? Literally.
Yep.
But maybe on the soccer field. So why did he decide to switch to music?
He was basically like, why not? He said, I was starting music for the first time, so I started with this mindset, if it doesn't work out, I'll just stop and try something else. He could quit. He could quit.
Well, that's pretty confident,
Yes,
right?
I agree. But, the idol training is notoriously difficult. We've
Right.
read many articles about that. He said he filmed some emotional video diaries during his early training days,
Sure.
and the fans were key. He said they responded with all kinds of supportive messages. He was like tearing up, live streaming, and he got comforting letters from fans, as he said. And as soon as he saw like the first line of letters, tears just like boop, and he was really touched by that.
I mean, because this is not the typical like, oh, I started being an idol trainee when I was like 10 or something, right?
And he didn't even probably know what to expect.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly. So, and Hyuk,
Yeah.
how did he end up in music? Because I mean, he obviously didn't have the luxury of even listening to music, right?
Right. And he actually lived in North Korea till age 12, so he defected quite young. By comparison, he defected in 2013.
Yes.
Went to university. As he says, things went bad. COVID was going on. He said a bad incident happened, so he had
Okay.
to work at a factory. While he's at the factory, a chance encounter with the CEO of a music label was like, okay, hey, why don't you start taking rap lessons in Seoul? And he was like, is this a scam? Like in the back of his mind, he's like, I don't know about this.
Sure.
But he said, I had nothing at that time. So he thought even if this person robs me, not even dust would come out of what he had. So after like a full year of meeting with this music exec who
Yes.
bought him meals and kept like encouraging his training, he's like, okay, I guess I'll join your label.
I guess it's not a scam.
Right. Finally,
Right.
after a year, he's like, all right. So yes, quite very different paths to becoming musicians. Yeah.
So very interesting. So you can, the listeners out there, now that you know what we're talking about, read the various stories, the outlets that have followed this story. And
Yeah.
very curious about the music, though.
Yeah, they made their debut this past July. So yeah, now that we're in August,
It's so weird, right?
I know. So yeah, we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, they're getting a lot of attention internationally for sure. So.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that first story. Let's go to our second story. What's this one about?
Okay, this is all about homes, actually. And this is from the LA Times. The headline kind of got me because this was something I was literally talking about yesterday.
Okay, what was
I'm
it?
filling in for your Busan Thursdays at 5:30. So I was talking about living in an apartment.
Okay.
And the headline is, Americans may aspire to single-family homes, but in South Korea, apartments are king.
Right. 단독 주택. That's kind of the American dream, right? To have
Yeah.
the little house,
And I was
little white picket fence.
Right. And I was kind of explaining yesterday that I was like, my feelings have changed because I've gotten used to the apartment life. And this article basically explains that perspective. It's explaining to American readers, especially in Los Angeles where they're having like a housing situation, why apartments are a big thing here and probably why they wouldn't work in LA as well. And I was thinking, maybe you have some insight on this. But okay, so they describe it in the LA Times. For many Americans, the apartment where 29-year-old IT specialist Lee Chang-hee lives, they describe it might be the stuff of nightmares. And I thought this was a little strong, but they said, it's just right outside of Seoul. The building isn't very tall, just 16 stories. I was like, tall enough for me. But there's an apartment complex that's 36 separate structures, all nearly identical except for the building number on the sides. I was like, yeah, that sounds familiar. All of the units came in the same standardized dimensions. This particular case is an 84C, which means 84 square meters. I didn't even know that was like a thing. I didn't know that's the code for this. But there's amenities everywhere, a rock garden with a fake waterfall, a playground, a gym, an administration office, senior center, a mom's cafe. And I was like, this sounds like a nightmare to Americans. Have I changed? Is this really?
No, it's a thing. When we first came, it's like I couldn't get used to apartment living. And
It took you a while.
It took me a long time. It took us a long time because in the beginning we opted to live in a low rise villa because
Right.
we're from LA. We're used to everything being close to the ground.
Right.
Because of earthquakes, there are in LA not many high rises unless you're in downtown.
So that's another reason it wouldn't work there, right?
Right. And then I was just like, there's not living in my own home with my own yard,
right,
with
a
my own-
yard, yeah, right,
with,
yard.
with your swimming pool. It was really difficult to transition.
Right.
And then the efficiency of apartments, and then we moved to an apartment. I was just kind of like, it's so convenient, like having everything there.
That's the whole point of the article.
Yeah.
They go over these conveniences, and basically they talk about how it's changed the culture in a very short period of time because this was not the norm.
Yes.
Are you aware, when these apartments started?
When?
Okay, it's basically back to the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
So they say about 60 years ago, suddenly the government had new urban housing policies because people needed homes. And LA's kind of facing a similar situation. Thus,
Yes.
they're talking about it. So in the 1960s, actually, the single-family detached houses were about 95% of homes in South Korea. So that's hard to imagine now.
Yes.
Just in the following decade, they said a lot of rural migrants just flooded into Seoul looking for factory jobs. They doubled the population. And a lot of people just couldn't find homes, so they started making homes out of makeshift sheet metal on the outskirts of the city.
That's how it began.
Right.
Okay.
So at that time, Park Chung-hee was leading the government. They were like, all right, apartments are the solution. They just started building them like crazy. They started easing the height restrictions. They started giving incentives for construction companies. And they added between 20,000 to 100,000 new apartment units each year.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine how quickly that changes?
Yes.
So this became pushed by all the local government, the state government, and then they started pushing the image as well. They're like, this is the high-tech modern paradise. This is where you want to live. That's where the name aparte starts cropping up.
Right.
Which aparte, I was not aware of. It actually means the apartment buildings in a complex. Like a single standing building would not be considered aparte. I didn't know that.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and at the same time, they started to kind of take on this Western cachet and upward social mobility, as they term it in the article.
Yes.
But that's not how we look at apartments in the U.S.
It's so different.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there are fancy, expensive apartments in certain places.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Manhattan, for example.
Yes.
But that's not the
Generally
norm.
speaking,
No.
people don't strive to move into an apartment.
No.
You want to move into your own home where there's land, right?
It's a whole different take. But they
So-
said, according to an anthropologist who studies this,
Yes.
basically by the late 1990s, early 2000s, almost every big name celebrity was on TV, hawking apartments. It became the thing.
Yes, and here we are today. I mean, we live in Busan where we have this mix of modernity
Right.
and then old school. We still have some of those old homes, single family residences.
They disappear quick.
Very quick.
Right.
Always this area is getting renovated, right?
Yep.
So very interesting to hear about this from from a broader viewpoint.
And definitely an
homes
American
and-
perspective in this case.
Yes,
but I think
yes.
not uniquely. I think, the way that apartments are viewed internationally is very different
Yes.
to how they're viewed in Korea for sure.
Right. Well, thank you for bringing two really interesting stories about Korea from different perspectives. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll check in with you next week.
See you next week.
All right, everybody. This was Casey with Foreign Press Highlights. And, of course, how can we resist? Here is 아파트, but this is by Yoon Soo-il.
별빛이 흐르는 다리를 건너 바람 부는 갈대숲을 지나 언제나 나를 기다리던 너의 아파트 그리운 마음에 전화를 하면 아름다운 너의 목소리 언제나 내게 속삭이던 너의 목소리 흘러가는 강물처럼 흘러가는 구름처럼 머물지 못해 떠나가 버린 너를 못 이기죠 오늘도 바보처럼 미련 때문에 다시 또 찾아왔지만 아무도 없는 쓸쓸한 너의 아파트 yeah. 흘러가는 강물처럼 흘러가는 구름처럼 머물지 못해 떠나가 버린 너를 못 이기죠 오늘도 바보처럼 미련 때문에 다시 또 찾아왔지만 아무도 없는 쓸쓸한 너의 아파트 아무도 없는 쓸쓸한 너의 아파트 yeah. 아무도 없는 쓸쓸한 너의 아파트 yeah.
Okay.
From the following water safety measures, guess which one is correct. Number 1. Always warm up before swimming or going in the water. Number 2. Enter the water slowly and wear a life jacket. Number 3. Never go beyond the designated swimming area. Number 4. Call 119 or a lifeguard on duty if you witness drowning.
뭐지? 1번도 맞고 2번도 맞는 것 같은데.
Time is running out.
The answer is all of the above.
That is correct. All of these options are important in order to safely enjoy water activities.
If you keep them in mind, you're bound to have a great and safe summer.
Stay with BEFM this summer for a responsible beach season.
Welcome to Busan. Let me show you around. Here you can find the world's largest musical in-ground fountain and the world's only UN memorial cemetery. Stroll along the coast and explore the largest mountain fortress in Korea. As well as all this, there are so many tourist attractions, beautiful exhibitions, vibrant culture, convenient facilities, and delicious foods unique to Busan. With all the beauty and charm of the amazing city of Busan, you'll find yourself right at home in this ever-changing tourism paradise. So stay with us a while. Busan, your #1 tourist destination. Your home, away from home. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어방송.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Welcome back, everybody. This is hour number 2 of Morning Wave in Busan. This is Spotlight News. Special counsel to carry out Yoon Suk-yeol's detention warrant today. The special counsel led by Min Jung-gi will attempt to execute the detention warrant for jailed former President Yoon Suk-yeol today to bring him in for questioning by force as Yoon's side claims poor health conditions. The special counsel said it plans to send an assistant special counsel, a prosecutor, and an investigator to the Seoul Detention Center this morning at 9 a.m. after he refused to respond to the counsel's summons request this week. Yoon's lawyers, however, said that the former president's health is in such a bad condition that he cannot go under investigation, and that they have submitted various documentation to the detention center to prove his worsened condition. Court issues arrest warrant for Lee Sang-min. The Seoul Central District Court issued a warrant to arrest former Interior Minister Lee Sang-min early this morning, who faces allegations of having colluded in former President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration. The presiding judge on the case cited concerns for Lee's attempt to destroy evidence. Lee becomes the second Yoon administration cabinet member following former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun to be detained in connection to the martial law case. The special counsel led by Cho Won-suk has accused Lee of playing a key role in alleged insurrection, abuse of power, and perjury. Lee Jae-myung government to push for tax reform to undo previous administration's tax cuts. The Lee Jae-myung administration yesterday announced its first tax reform plan aimed at increasing government revenue, which would effectively undo the tax cuts for corporations and capital gains implemented under the previous Yoon administration. The Ministry of Economy and Finance said that the government will raise the top corporate tax rate by 1% across all tax brackets and lower the necessary threshold to increase capital gains tax revenue. The government estimates an additional 8.17 trillion won in tax revenue over the next 5 years from these reforms. There are also concerns that such tax hikes may lead to passive business activities. Top South Korean U.S. diplomats meet for first time. South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Hyun met with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, D.C., where they reaffirmed the complete denuclearization of North Korea and trilateral cooperation among Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo. The State Department issued a press release after the summit, adding that Cho and Rubio expressed grave concerns over North Korea and Russia's increasing military cooperation, as well as the necessity of keeping peace and stability over the Taiwan Strait. The two diplomats are also expected to have discussed the upcoming summit between President Lee Jae-myung and President Donald Trump, which was agreed upon during the trade negotiations with President Trump the day before. White House says new reciprocal tariffs to go into effect August 1st. Countries are trying to reach trade deals with the U.S. as the August 1st deadline looms near. The White House confirmed that the new reciprocal tariffs will go into effect on the same day. Donald Trump has paused higher tariffs for Mexico for 90 days, but said he hasn't spoken to Canada as of Thursday. He also announced a 25% tariff on India, along with an unspecified penalty for an over-reliance on Russian energy and military equipment. Brazilian imports face a 50% tariff. President Trump said that the U.S. is taking in trillions of dollars through the levies. And this was Spotlight News. This is our first special interview. The U.S. President Donald Trump announced a new trade agreement with South Korea yesterday. Remember, we had breaking news on our program. The deal includes a wide range of measures from lowering those reciprocal tariffs from 25 to 15%, also establishing a $350 billion investment fund in the U.S., and committing $100 billion in American energy purchases. So today we're going to take a closer look at what this trade deal really means and explore its potential impact on South Korea's economy, key industries, and global trade positions. So joining us right now is Professor Yang Jun-suk, Professor of Economics at the Catholic University of Korea. Hi, welcome back, Professor.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Yes. So first up, what do you see as the most critical aspects of this trade agreement?
Okay, well, I think there's three critical points. The first is that the tariff rate has ended up better than expected. Now, it's 15% blanket tariffs except for selected industries. And the automobile tariffs, which perhaps was Korea's biggest interest, it fell from 25% to 15%. Korea still has to pay tariffs on steel and steel-related products at 50% rate. But still, 15% rate is the same rate that EU and Japan got, and I don't think we could have done any better. And then second, it's the $350 billion promised investment into the United States. That is higher than expected, and the details are vague. The details are similar to EU and Japan's promised investment into the United States, and they're vague as well. The cost is higher, but we don't know exactly how higher that cost will be, even with that stated amount of $350 billion. And then the third point, which I think is related to the second point, is the opening of agricultural markets, rice markets, and beef markets in particular. Now, U.S. is saying that they removed a lot of non-tariff barriers in the agricultural market. Korea is saying that we did not open rice and beef markets at all. There seems to be some contradiction between the interpretation of the two. But still, if the Korean interpretation is true and there's no effective opening of rice and beef markets, that is very important for Korea politically.
Yes.
I suspect that we paid more money for it. But still, this is what the Korean public wanted, and this is what the Korean public got. We did have to pay for it, I think, but still, I think this is probably the best deal that Korea could have gotten.
Yes. Well, thank you for your assessment. In terms of some of the potential positives and also the negatives of this deal, if you had to pinpoint a couple.
Okay, well, the government has stated that it reduces uncertainty, and that is true. Now, diplomatic and negotiations-wise, as I just mentioned, it's probably the best deal that we could have gotten.
Yes.
We got the same tariff rate as EU and Japan. We have slightly higher rates than United Kingdom. But still, I think this is the best deal that Korea could have reasonably gotten. But economics-wise, it's still a bad agreement, both for Korea and for U.S. consumers.
Right.
Right now, the blanket tariffs on Korean exports are 10%. That is going up by 5% to 15%. And automobile tariffs, yes, it is being reduced to current 25% to 15%, but that's still much higher than where it was before the Trump administration, where Korean exports of automobile, the tariff rate was 0%, and incidentally, it was 0% for almost all other Korean exports as well. So Korean sales will be affected, though perhaps not as much as we had initially feared.
Yes.
But Korean export sales will be affected, and American consumers obviously will have to pay higher prices. The Industrial Bank of Korea in February estimated that for each 1 percentage point rise in U.S. tariffs, the exports to U.S. would fall by 0.45%, and exports to elsewhere would fall by 0.15%. So if we have 15% tariffs, that's a decline of about 6.8% for exports to the United States, a decline of 2.25% for exports to the United States. So I would estimate that that would be a decline in the GDP of about 0.7 to 0.8%, which is not good. But again, if the 25% tariff hit, it could have been worse.
Yes. And I also want to address the $350 billion investment fund. Obviously not straight cash. So what does it mean?
Okay, well, if we talk with the Trump administration, they would imply that majority of this investment will be direct investment, that is funding that is given directly, invested directly into the United States. They will any profits that's made from these investments, 90% of the profit will be going to the United States. And President Trump will decide where the investment will go.
Okay.
Korea is disputing, or at least putting a different interpretation to these details. $350 billion, at least according to Korean side, it will be mostly loans, and government contribution will be mostly guarantees and incentives for these investments.
Yes.
And then the 90% profit being retained in the United States. That is interpreted by Koreans as meaning it'll be reinvested into the United States. So it may not, the profits may not come back to Korea, but it will be reinvested. And the exact amount is in question, the $350 billion. Korea will do its best to achieve it, but it may not be achievable. It will mostly be, because it's going to be mostly done by private companies rather than the Korean government.
Yes.
Now, what both sides do agree on is it will be in form of two funds. First, $150 billion fund will be for the shipbuilding sector, and the $200 billion will be for other industries. As I said, the U.S. interpretation is that President Trump will decide where it goes, and Korean interpretation is that it's up to individual firms.
So there is a little bit of a discrepancy in how the agreement is being interpreted, it seems, at least now. But I also want to touch upon this whole LNG, the import of liquefied natural gas from the U.S. We're talking about $100 billion worth to Korea. So how significant is this?
Okay, well, the Korean government position is that the $100 billion numbers are fairly realistic, looking at Korea's energy imports. And there's some ambiguity on whether it just means LNG or other U.S. energy as well. But to give you sort of a comparison, 2024, Korea's oil imports were about $85 billion. Natural gas imports are about $29 billion. And U.S. Gas and oil tend to be more expensive than the usual source for Korea, which is in the Middle East.
Right.
So given these numbers, it's certainly achievable. Especially if you spread that $100 billion across 3.5 years. But again, it will be somewhat more expensive than importing it directly from the Middle East. But Korea was seeking to diversify its import sources anyway, so this may actually be somewhat good for Korea.
Well, if we had to summarize in a nutshell, Professor, what do you think of this deal? I mean, you've already alluded to the fact that, this is probably the best we could have gotten. But, in your assessment, with your expertise, how would you judge this trade deal?
Okay, every Trump trade deal is bad. That includes not only the Korean deal, but EU deal, the Japan deal, and the UK deal, and Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines. They're all bad. The problem is it's very difficult to convince President Trump that tariff itself has bad implications. I don't know whether Trump actually believes this or is just selling it, but he does say that the tariffs are taxes on foreigners, and that is patently not true. But roughly about 1/3 of the U.S. voting population, the Trump supporters, the MAGAs, they believe it. And they believe that tariffs are good for the American economy, despite every economist and every analyst telling them otherwise. So the problem is this will probably not go away during Trump's term unless U.S. has a big economic crisis, and that doesn't seem to be happening.
Right.
So the question now becomes, what will happen with the next administration? Will they cave into the pressure of the Trump supporters and the various interest groups, industry groups, and maintain these tariffs? Or will they regain some sense and go back to the path of free trade? We don't know that yet.
Yes.
If you remember, President Biden sort of disappointed us with keeping much of the trade barriers that Trump put in during his first term.
Yes.
So I think that's going to be the big question. What will happen in the next administration? And will there be any big crisis in the U.S. economy, which will hopefully turn this around?
I see. Well, thank you so much for sharing your views, your expertise with our listeners today. Take care, Professor. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, listeners, this was our first special interview. I'll be back in just a while with our second special interview.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Welcome back, Wavers. This is our second special interview for this Friday morning. Since the early 2000s, the term climate change has been widely used to describe long-term shifts in things like temperature and weather patterns, largely driven by human activity. Fast forward to now, 2025, and news reports of natural disasters fueled by extreme weather have become all too familiar. In response, world leaders have worked to establish global standards and environmental policies. And now with extreme weather events intensifying, the International Court of Justice, or ICJ, has issued a landmark advisory opinion outlining the legal obligations of states, meaning countries, to protect the climate system. Joining us today is Dr. David Boyd, former UN Special Rapporteur on the right to a healthy environment and professor of law, policy, and sustainability in the Institute for Resources, Environment, and Sustainability at the University of British Columbia. So let's say hi. Hi, welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning, Catherine. Great to be with you.
Yes. So first of all, if you could explain the significance of the International Court of Justice, the ICJ's advisory opinion, and, the wording, the advisory opinion, what does that exactly mean?
Yeah, well, the International Court of Justice is the world's highest court, and this may well be the most consequential court ruling in human history. The court begins its advisory opinion by reviewing the scientific evidence of the climate crisis and comes to the conclusion that humanity has created an existential threat. And then the court proceeds to answer the two questions that were asked by the UN General Assembly. What are the legal obligations of countries under international law? And what are the consequences for those countries if they fail to fulfill those obligations? And while this is called an advisory opinion, so it's not technically legally binding, but the international law that the court discusses in its advisory opinion is legally binding. And so the court has made it very clear the climate treaties, other environmental treaties, international human rights law, and general principles of law, such as the duty not to cause serious transboundary environmental harm, those create legally binding obligations on states to protect the climate system. And that's why this advisory opinion is so revolutionary. Yes.
And I'm very curious, though, Professor, how did this decision come about? Meaning, what case was brought before the court?
This case has such an interesting history. It actually began in a classroom at the University of South Pacific in Vanuatu back in 2019 when a group of university students were challenged by their professor to come up with a creative idea. These were students from South Pacific island countries like Vanuatu, Fiji, and the Solomon Islands. And they came up with this idea of, well, what if we could get the world's highest court to address the world's biggest problem? So they created an organization called Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change. Then they created a second organization called World Youth for Climate Change. And they started reaching out to governments. And in 2021, they convinced the government of Vanuatu that this could be a productive way forward. Because for Vanuatu and other small island states, there has been a lack of action by the big polluters to address the climate crisis. And when I was the special rapporteur, I went to Fiji, I went to Botswana, went to Portugal. All of these countries around the world are suffering terrible impacts from the climate crisis. Tropical storms of increased severity and frequency, wildfires, heat waves, droughts, floods. It really is a terrible situation for billions of people. So these young people, they got Vanuatu on board. That's one country. To get a case to the International Court of Justice, this type of case, an advisory opinion, requires a resolution from the UN General Assembly. So they had to they got Vanuatu, then they got a number of other small states in the South Pacific, and eventually, against all odds, they got a unanimous UN General Assembly resolution. So 193 countries agreed to send these questions to the International Court of Justice. The hearings were held last December at The Hague. These young people deserve a tremendous amount of credit for their vision and their persistence in pushing this all the way from the beginning across the finish line. And last week's advisory opinion is beyond their wildest dreams in terms of how powerful it is in clarifying that states must do much more to protect the Earth's climate system.
What an amazing, amazing story. And once again, the youth of a very small island, Vanuatu. In terms of the countries, though, the states, how are we to respond to the court's opinion? Because obviously, countries, South Korea, the US, Canada, all over, major greenhouse gas emitters. What kind of changes might this actually entail?
This is going to have dramatic changes for every country in the world, Catherine, beginning with under the Paris Agreement, countries have to submit something called nationally determined contributions. These are each country comes up with a plan for reducing its greenhouse gas emissions. The International Court of Justice makes clear that these plans must have the highest ambition possible and that they must include the actions that governments will take to achieve these more ambitious targets. So collectively, all of these government plans have to ensure that we limit global warming to a maximum of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures. And that is what the small island states and the young people have been pressing for. It's a very ambitious target. It will require countries like South Korea, Canada, the United States, and others to rapidly shift from our dependence on fossil fuels towards renewable forms of energy storage, public transportation, energy efficiency. The good news is that we have the solutions, and that in the past 15 or 20 years, solutions like solar energy and wind energy have become cheaper than fossil fuels. So one of the things that the court actually mentioned in its advisory opinion is that states need to shift subsidies away from fossil fuels. And economists estimate that more than $1 trillion is wasted globally subsidizing the combustion of fossil fuels, which is causing this existential crisis. Those subsidies should be reallocated towards renewable energy, battery storage, and other clean solutions to the climate crisis. And then we have negotiations coming up. The annual climate negotiations are in Brazil later this year. This advisory opinion will give an unprecedented amount of bargaining strength to the small island states and the other climate vulnerable nations that are pushing for more ambitious action. And the court also talks about what is the consequence of a failure of these major polluters to do their job in rapidly reduce emissions. And the consequence is they can be held liable. They can be required to pay restitutions for damaged infrastructure, for example, from a tropical cyclone, to repair ecosystems like coral reefs and forests that are damaged by climate change, and ultimately to pay compensation to the countries that are suffering this incredible level of loss and damage already. And the estimates from the United Nations are that the loss and damage amongst the countries in the global south is already in the hundreds of billions of dollars annually, headed for the trillions if we don't take more ambitious, urgent climate action. So that's a very big stick, which threatens the big polluters unless they get their act together in the short term.
Yes. And speaking of actors, we're talking about countries and also leaders. Have there been reactions to this from state leaders yet?
Yes, I've been on several webinars where state leaders from around the world have recognized that this is a wake-up call to humanity, that for over 30 years, we've talked a lot about climate action, and now the rubber has to hit the road. That the urgency of shifting away from fossil fuels is crystal clear. And to be honest, Catherine, there are a handful of world leaders who don't take the climate crisis seriously. President Trump, President Putin, but the vast majority of nations recognize the science that is so irrefutable at this point. The scientific reports from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which are literally thousands of pages long, the best scientific minds in the world have said that this is an existential threat to humanity and all forms of life. It's absolutely clear now that and part of the problem has been that these big polluters have thought of the climate treaties as being largely voluntary. Well, we'll try our best, but actually now it's clear that these are legally binding obligations. They can be held responsible, and if they don't fulfill those obligations, they can be held liable.
Indeed. And so as we wrap up our conversation today, Professor, what role do you think younger generation, the youth, can play, and even just citizens, lay people? What can we do in terms of holding governments accountable so that with this important opinion, this ruling, that this will parlay into real action?
Well, I would say there's basically three things. One is education. These young people that brought this case are doing a terrific job of educating world leaders about its importance. That needs to be across society. Even this interview is really constructive and helpful in that regard.
Yes.
Number two is pressure. civil society, youth, indigenous people, the small island developing states have to relentlessly pressure the big polluters to take the actions that are needed. And third, what we will see if the big polluters do not obey the ruling from the International Court of Justice, we will see a tidal wave of lawsuits seeking to hold them accountable. And one of the key parts of the International Court of Justice decision is it recognized that the right to a healthy environment is a universally recognized human right, which mandates states to take action. And because it's universally recognized, it means that each and every one of us now has the power to hold our governments accountable. And that is something that will really propel climate action forward in the years ahead.
Well, thank you so much for thoroughly explaining the importance of this landmark advisory opinion. And of course, we wish you the best. Thanks for joining us today, Professor.
Thank you very much, Catherine. It's been my great pleasure.
This was Dr. David Boyd, and we talked about this ICJ issuing this landmark climate change advisory. And as the professor said, so important. And for those of you who might think, well, it's not binding, actually, he did clarify, not maybe legally binding in the way we think of it as in a court, but in terms of the ramifications and even compensation that might have to go out, yes, very much an important ruling. And I'll be back with your traffic and weather. It's now 8:28. Here's your traffic update. There is some congestion on 중장대로 from pier number 5 to pier number 4. Generally speaking, though, because it is peak vacation season right now, the roads are generally clear. But please be aware that Gwangan Bridge, that top portion will be closed off tomorrow from 8:50 p.m. to 12:50 a.m. the following morning because of a marathon. Once again, that top portion is going to be closed from 8:50 p.m. to 12:50 a.m. That's going into early Sunday morning. All right, weather-wise, 28 degrees Celsius, sunny, hot. It's going to go up to 32 today. Heat wave impact forecast, 폭염 영향 예보, and a heat wave special report, 폭염 특보, are in effect. The heat wave is raising temperatures in some areas up to 37 degrees. Tropical nights are going to persist. Looking ahead to the weekend. Tomorrow, you can expect a high of 34, and on Sunday, 33. This was your traffic and weather. It is time for Wagle. We have Haley here in the studio for Wagle.
Hello.
Yes, but I hear we have some breaking news, right?
Right. So we do have breaking news on the tariff front. We have news that President Donald Trump just signed an executive order regarding the tariffs, and as agreed, all the tariffs will go into effect. And with South Korea, the agreed upon tariff of 15%, lowered from 25%. That'll go into effect at 1 p.m. This is Korea time.
So yes, it's happening today. It's August 1st. So those are the latest details. Thank you for that, Haley. And now we have a very abbreviated form of waga today. There have been reports of some people trying to get cash refunds for those recovery coupons.
People have been getting creative, but here's the point. This hurts small businesses. So those in the franchise industry especially say that there's been an increase in cases of customers paying for meals or other goods, buying things with their consumption coupon money, but then trying to get cash refunds. So on principle, you can get refunds back into the coupon and the account, but it seems that customers are coming up with a way to make excuses to get that in forms of cash or bank transfers. So, for example, one customer said, and this is according to the owners, the business owners, that they got delivery food from this particular place, but their child got sick after eating there. And another claims that they found a piece of hair in the food without proof though. Usually you do send in a photo or present that piece of, whatever, but there wasn't that proof. So in these cases though, it's the thing about small businesses. They feel like they're kind of cornered and they have no choice but to give cash back as the customer demands.
But I have a question. Is that not against the law?
It absolutely is against the law.
Okay.
So that's, by the way, it's not only against the law for customers, but it can be for businesses as well. Under the law on the management of stipends, government support, if you go through these person-to-person transactions to turn coupons into cash or use the money in any way that it's not intended by the specific project, you have to give back a part of the money or the entirety of the funds. You also may be fined and or be restricted from future welfare or stipend projects. And then for businesses though, cash refunds may be counted as credit card fraud because you're taking coupons but then giving money cash back.
Right.
And that can subject the business owner to under 3 years in prison or 20 million won in fines. So actually it's much more serious for the businesses.
Sure.
However, as one Busan area restaurant owner said, they're afraid of star rating. They call them like terrors or downgrades as much as they're afraid of any legal ramifications.
I'm sure. Well, thanks for letting us know about this. Let's move on and talk about this man who finally came out of living out of his car for a decade.
Right. This is a bizarre case, but a case that ended well, or it's at least on its way to a more of a positive ending.
Okay.
Thanks to actually bureaucratic administrative work, right? Which we don't, right. But yeah, so this is a very surprising case of a man who lived in his broken down car for a decade. Only to have come out of it recently. So this is according to Jeju City. This individual moved to the island about 10 years ago.
Okay.
But he actually didn't register his new address, and he lived out of his car that was parked by a local beach. And this car is not a functioning car.
Okay.
The city first found him back in 2018. The car, all the tires were basically punctured, just not running, like literally cannot run. Even the outside was corroded. The paint had chipped off, and there was rust over the chipped over parts.
Okay.
So the officials asked him, and he said that his girlfriend apparently told him to wait there, and he has to wait for her. They haven't found evidence or they haven't looked into that claim. So this was at least the initial reason. However, for years after this, he didn't give any other concrete reasons, and he just insisted that he keep living there and refused any welfare or social services.
Yeah, so that's a backdrop. What did the city do about this?
Incredible patience and administrative support. So the city worked with the community centers, the patrol stations, and local welfare centers. So they just made sure he was okay. Because they were afraid that if they went in too aggressively, that might kind of antagonize him even more.
Sure.
So for a while, they just monitored him and offered counseling. So they just kept talking to him. Because trust building is very important in these cases. Finally, last month, he decided that he was willing to get help. So he has moved out. He, of course, has suffered mentally and financially. The city created this new management system to be able to help him. Basically, they got him onto basic welfare, even meal delivery, cell phone, which is really important to build your life, and housing. So the head of the city's resident welfare said that this is a case where public and private joint cooperation and extensive case management really helped an isolated single person to go out into the world and sustain a more stable and safe life within the community.
Yes. So thank you for sharing this story as well. And of course, wishing you a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Haley.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right. We are due for a song break. Let's take a little breather. This is 붉은 노을 by 이문세.
깨물든 노을 바라보면 슬픈 그대 얼굴 생각이 나 고개 숙이네 눈물을 나 아무 말 할 수가 없지만 나 생각나면 눈 감아요 소리 없이 그 이름 불러요 아름다웠던 그대 모습 다시 볼 수 없는 것 알아요 후회 없어 저 다른 노을 붉은 노을처럼 난 너를 사랑해 이 세상 나뿐이야 소리쳐 부르지 마 저 대답 없는 너는 붉게 타는데 어디로 갔을까 사랑하던 슬픈 그대 얼굴 보고 싶어 깊은 사랑 후회 없어 저 타는 붉은 노을처럼 난 너를 사랑해 이 세상 나뿐이야 소리쳐 부르지 마저 대답 없는 너는 붉게 타는데 그 세월 속에 잊어야 할 기억들이 다시 생각나면 눈 감아요 소리 없이 그 이름 불러요 아름다웠던 그대 모습 다시 볼 수 없는 것 알아요 후회 없어 저 타는 노을 붉은 노을처럼 난 너를 사랑해 이 세상 나뿐이야 소리쳐 부르지 마저 대답 없는 너는 붉게 타는데 난 너를 사랑해 이 세상 나뿐이야 소리쳐 부르지 마저 대답 없는 너는 붉게 타는데
It is time for Global Affairs. That means Professor Andrew Miller's here. 안교수님, hello.
Good morning.
Can you believe it's August?
I know. Happy August.
I know. It's like time flies, I guess. But definitely we are well into summer. Hopefully summer will end soon, but you know, hopefully.
It doesn't seem like it will.
No, we're like at the peak of it right now. But you know, this week has been a busy week, right? For the entire world. But all these tariff deals going on, right?
Right. So there's been a lot going on. Definitely in Korea.
Yes.
So I think today I'll try and avoid Korea because I think a lot of people have been talking about that.
Yes.
But these tariffs, they seem to be never ending. And every day seems to be changing. So as Haley just mentioned before, Donald Trump has just raised the tariffs on Canada.
Right.
Again to 35%.
35%. And I think Brazil, we haven't had any updates, so still 50%.
Brazil is still 50%, but they still want them to end the investigation into Bolsonaro.
Right.
So it's very strange, these tariffs. So if you listen to Donald Trump, he'll say that all of these tariffs, they're all just economic. There's nothing political about any of these. But then when he says, for Brazil, all this is because of your investigation into Bolsonaro, it becomes incredibly political. So it's very confusing, and it seems to just be very random against each individual country.
Like, what's the rubric, right?
There isn't one. It's whatever he wants, it seems like. So, yeah. So I thought today maybe we'd have a look at some of the different agreements that have been reached around the world. So it's important to understand why he's doing this, of course. So the first reason, again, this has been talked about a lot. Donald Trump, he's not your typical politician. He's not your average typical president, should we say. He's much more a businessman. So for him, everything is transactional.
The art of the deal.
Exactly.
Right.
So for him, he only sees all of these trade deals as figures, as numbers, whatever is best for America. And to be honest, sometimes he's right. So I don't want to say anything bad about Korea or Japan or whatever. But actually, some of these countries, they do have very big surpluses. And they've had big surpluses for many years.
Yes.
So Donald Trump, he's not wrong in some of these, what he says. He's not right about everything,
right?
Of course. But traditionally, when we have these agreements, it's not just about the money. It's also about building relationships.
Right.
So we have these long-term allies, not just in trade, but also in security and education and culture exchanges and so on. And Donald Trump, he doesn't seem to really understand that aspect. So that when we talk about him being transactional, that's what we mean.
Especially when I think about like the U.S.'s neighbor to the north, Canada, traditionally very much a close ally, right?
Yes.
Just one example.
Exactly.
But, yeah, okay.
So he's very much transactional, but of course also, and this has been since his first term, his MAGA approach, Make America Great Again. He's very much a nationalist. So some of these are quite protectionist tariffs. And really, a lot of it is about maintaining U.S. hegemony. So maintaining U.S. dominance around the world as we see the rise of China and other countries too.
Right.
So there's quite a few reasons behind these tariffs. But like we said, really, there's no sort of fixed plan. It seems very random. So that's the confusing part. So getting on to some of the agreements so far.
Right, okay.
So when he took office, Donald Trump said, we're going to have 90 agreements in 90 days. That was his big promise.
Right.
So far, how many are there? About 6 or 7?
Right.
So he's very short of his 90. So of those, this is as of Thursday, 31st of July, so as of yesterday. So what happened overnight? I don't think any agreements were signed overnight.
Right. And not that I know of. I
don't think any were, from what I know.
Right.
Okay. But the first one was with my own country, the United Kingdom. That was on the 9th of May. Now, Donald Trump called this a full and comprehensive trade agreement.
Yes.
Which a lot of people immediately disagreed with. It's not particularly a comprehensive agreement. There's a lot in it, of course, but it's not really what we would call a full and comprehensive one. And even Keir Starmer, he said this was a limited bilateral agreement.
Right.
So there was already immediate differences. And you'll see this with every agreement. Donald Trump will come out and say, the biggest trade deal ever in the history of the world, we just signed today. And then the next trade agreement, that'll be the new biggest trade deal ever.
Sure.
So it seems to get bigger every time. For the UK, we actually, from what it's appearing like right now, we signed a pretty decent deal.
Yes.
Because it seems like most countries now, including South Korea, have the 15% sort of tariff blanket rate. The UK got 10%.
That's mighty good.
It is.
I
so
mean,
we're doing all right.
comparatively, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we got 10% on all goods, including automobiles, which was down from 27.5%, which is the same for the EU as well.
Right.
We got a big exception of 0% on steel. So that was a very important
big.
one. So especially for the UK steel industry, which isn't great. Aircraft parts and engines, also 0%. America, from America to the UK, ethanol, also 0%. And beef was also included. So the UK kind of set the tone. And what you'll see with all of these agreements, they're very similar.
Yes.
They are not full and comprehensive.
Okay.
They target really specific areas. And then everything else is just the blanket 10 or 15%, whatever.
Sure.
So UK was first, then it was Indonesia.
How much did Indonesia get?
Indonesia, 19%.
Such an arbitrary number. Maybe
it is
to me,
pretty random.
Right.
Yes.
Maybe there's, people in the know, like experts, there might be a reason, but to me, I was just kind of like, it's not 10 or 15 or 20 or, but it's just like 19.
Right. It also, to me, I'm not an economist, so to
Right.
me, it doesn't really make sense.
Okay.
But Indonesia, again, included energy. So this is, again, another big part for Korea, also for the European Union.
Right.
Energy was a big one. Again, agriculture. So you'll see with Japan, I'm pretty sure with Korea, with the UK, also agriculture is becoming very important.
Yes.
And to be honest, the fact that he's getting a lot of these agricultural deals included in a relatively short time,
right?
Honestly, kudos.
To him as a deal maker.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because usually whenever you sign some sort of trade deal or FTA, whatever, agriculture is always one of the most sensitive issues. It always takes the longest.
Right.
So the fact that he's getting these included, to be honest, you got to give him a little bit of credit.
He knows how to work a deal.
Whether you like it or not, it's
right.
there. So for Japan as well, and Japan, like Korea, agriculturally, it's always been very closed off.
Yes.
But in the Japanese tariff agreement, which is again 15%, same as Korea,
right?
They've decided that Japan will buy 75% more rice from the US.
Which is like...
Which is significant.
That is major.
And again, Japan has been very traditionally protective of its rice industries. So this is quite a big opening up.
Right.
But for Japan also, again, a lot of energy, but also defense industries. So defense spending will increase to 17 billion from 14 billion. They've agreed to buy, I think it's 100 Boeing aircraft. So again, very big for the Boeing, the aircraft industry.
Yes.
And also Japan will invest $550 billion into the US, which then if we look at the EU deal, very, very similar.
Right.
$600 billion worth of investments into America from European companies. Again, aircraft, 0% reciprocal tariffs. That's very important.
Yes.
Because you have the Airbus versus Boeing sort of competition.
Right.
So very important there. Pharmaceuticals and semiconductors also included in the 15%. That's been brought down quite a lot. So overall, there's been a few deals made. Like I said, to be honest, in a fairly short time.
Yes.
And the UK-US deal was the first ever trade deal.
Right.
So again, quite significant, even if not a comprehensive deal.
Right.
And the EU deal, again, also quite impressive. A few deals that we have sort of being negotiated include China, which of course is the main target.
Right.
India, which is ongoing, again, huge economy. Canada, we've mentioned, Brazil.
Yes.
And Korea, even though the trade is done, security is
Still
another
up. Yes.
Another issue entirely.
All right. Well, we're going to have to call it a wrap. But thank you so much for going over the different deals with different countries. Biggest story right now in the world. So
it is. I tried to make it short and concise.
Yes, we appreciate it. Well, thank you so much. And we wishing you a wonderful weekend. We'll check in with you next week.
You too.
Everybody, this was Professor Andrew. It's time to wrap up today for the entire week, actually, because tomorrow's Saturday. Wishing you an amazing weekend. Our staff, we have our producer, Choyeji. We have our writers, Haley Saw, Soo Kim. I'm your host, Catherine. I'll be back on Monday. We're going to wrap it up with 왜 벌써 가 by Dynamic Duo. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
마음이 숨막힐 듯한 네 아름다움이 쓰디쓴 삶을 달게 해넌 나의 brownie 내 삶의 향기고 수많은 갈림길 속 only one way to go 멀었던 행복이란 곳에 비자 네 존재는 날 머물게 해 너와 함께면 어디든 이비자 넌 나의 모나리자 난 무엇보다 값비싼 네 미소만을 지키는 기사 화내는 것도 귀여워서 안 돼 싸움이 집에 보내기 힘들어져 점점 마음이 더 늦으면 난 무슨 짓을 할지 몰라 오늘은 이만 집에 가 아니 가지 마
왜 벌써 가 너 왜 벌써 가 시간은 아직 이른데 왜 벌써 가 너 왜 벌써 가 난 집에 가기 싫은데 Cause I wanna be with you 오늘 밤은 같이 있고 싶은데 너는 나의 작은 천사 Could you be be my brownie, baby. 나나나 너 아니었으면 벌써 망가졌을 거야. 현실 속에서 난 초라하고 작아졌을 거야. 너의 숨냄새까지도 자꾸 생각나네. 오늘 널 보내기 싫어 떼쓰고 있어. 이건 고문. 나 인간답게 만든 너에게 보답하고 싶어. 네 존재 자체도 깊어. 생각이 항상 깊어. 자주 욱하는 내 성격도 기도하듯 눈 감아줘. 갓난아기 이불처럼 약점도 쓱 덮어줘. 기억해 영원히 내 소속은 너야. 종신계약 널 위해서만 난 달릴 거야. 제발 가지마. 여기 네가 쉴 곳은 아주 많아. 내 무릎, 내 어깨, 내 등, 내 품. 왜 벌써 가? 너 왜 벌써 가? 시간은 아직 이른데 왜 벌써 가? 너 왜 벌써 가? 난 집에 가기 싫은데 Cause I wanna be with you. 오늘 밤은 같이 있고 싶은데 너는 나의 작은 천사. Could you be my brownie, baby? Could you be my brownie? Could you be my brownie? 나의 블록버스터 너 완전히 몰두하게 하지. 밤새 베개 나눠 배고 깊은 대화하고 싶어. 닫혀진 커튼 사이로 새는 빛을 보고 싶어.
Could you be my brownie? Could you be my brownie? 나의 블록버스터 나 완전히 몰두하게 하지. Could you be my brownie? Yeah. Could you be my brownie?
흐른다 흐른다 네 머릿결이 흐른다 내 손가락 사이로.
English